it's Hailey Reese, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about something, as you can tell by the title, that's a little bit more serious. I know that, especially in this day and age, numerous, what am I talking statistics here? Numerous. I know that in today's day and age, there are a lot of young women and young men and women and men in general that struggle with body image. And I, for one, am certainly one of those people. It's always been something that I've struggled with, and I've never really talked about it because, for one, I didn't want to shine light on my insecurity, if I'm being real with you. And for two, maybe I just wasn't comfortable with it, if that makes sense. Not that I wasn't comfortable, just it was never really something that I thought about sharing with anybody. But the reason that I finally decided to speak out on this is actually inspired by a young girl that I met after a show I did in London. And basically the entire concept of this show was spreading positivity and trying to motivate young students and young girls and young boys to build a great future for themselves. And one of the things that I chose to highlight was trying to love yourself regardless of your flaws or what you've been through. And after the show, this young girl messaged me on Instagram basically saying that she wishes that she could have the same confidence in herself and the same self-love that I have, and that she doesn't understand why she doesn't love herself the way that I do. And I'll be honest with you guys, I felt really, really guilty for a little while after that, because I felt like as much as I was trying to help people, I was portraying this persona of complete self-love and complete self-acceptance, and that just simply isn't the case. It took me 21 years to learn to love myself. And as much as I do love myself and I am confident in myself and I feel strong and I feel unstoppable, I still have moments of weakness, and I still struggle with body image and body shaming and basically this idea of perfection that we put out there. I've struggled to keep up to it, and it's just never been something that I've shown. So this video, that was a really long introduction. This video is basically just going to touch on my story with body image and self-acceptance, and hopefully is going to show you guys that, at any weight, any race, any gender, self-worth and self-destruction really doesn't show any mercy. And for me, I've definitely realized that you could be somebody's perfect weight or somebody's perfect woman, and you're still never going to love yourself and never going to feel that way if you don't feel it within yourself. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But I'll basically take you guys to the beginning of my story and where my body image kind of came into play and how I got here. So I think the first time that I ever really started to feel insecurities about my body was in 6th grade, when all the other girls were developing and I just wasn't at all. And I felt like less of a woman. Who the heck should feel like a woman in 6th grade anyways? But I felt like I was less of a young woman because I just wasn't developing. I had friends that, they went bra shopping with their moms and they were going up all these cup sizes. And I literally had a trainer bra that the Easter Bunny brought me like a year before, and I hadn't even filled that out. It's so weird to think about how far behind I was in development. But right then and there, that's when the body shaming started, and it came from the boys in my class, and I remember, I don't know if it was grade 6 or 7, but the movie WALL-E came out about that little robot, and people used to call me Wally, but it had no relation to the movie. It was just like, you're so flat, you make the wall jealous, good one. And I remember being in 6th and 7th grade and I would cry over it, and I literally stuffed my bra once with socks, if we're being real here, because I wanted to feel like the other girls felt, and I could compare my body to theirs, and I was tall and lanky and skinny, and I had no boobs, and I just felt really, really, really bad about myself. So this continues up into high school, and I still wasn't really developed. I was actually a really late bloomer, but I was really skinny, and everyone was always talking about how skinny I was. And it made me feel even more insecure because I really didn't feel like a young woman at this point. Like, I was compared to boys' bodies, and I was constantly being told that I looked like a little kid still. And I mean, in high school, that really, really feels like the end of the world. And you feel like, you know, you don't add up to this idealistic body that a young woman should have, and I just didn't have it. So shortly after that, I ended up hitting puberty, and I ended up gaining weight in places like my hips and my thighs and everywhere else, but I still didn't really have the boobs yet. I didn't get boobs till like 18, and till 18, yeah. Woo, late bloomers, raise your hands. But yeah, I didn't develop for a long time, but now I was curvy. And people started to talk about the fact that I went from lanky to a little bit curvy, and you know, girls can be mean to one another, and I was constantly being whispered about, like, you know, is she pregnant? Is she gaining weight? This, that. And so suddenly now I went from being super, super lanky to being a little bit thicker, and I'm dealing with the insecurity that I still don't feel like developed in like a young woman like the other girls are, but also feeling like now I'm a little bit curvier and I don't fit into my jeans, and you know, at 15 this is like the end of the world. You just feel so badly about yourself. And so that kind of progressed on, and I didn't know what to do, and I was always looking in the mirror feeling bad about myself one way or another. I was insecure about a lot of things, and I was mentally struggling. And this was around the time that I was going through extreme bullying, and I had a lot of social anxiety and just overall anxiety, and feeling so bad in my skin just added to all of this. And all the while I'm trying to put on, like, I love myself, you know, I'm good, like, don't worry about me, like, I'm confident in what I have to work with. And I would crack jokes at the weight that I gained. And, you know, even though I didn't gain drastic amounts of weight, people were pointing it out, and people were still body shaming, and it still made me feel like either way I can't win. So fast forward to 19, and I went through a severe surgery, and I was hospitalized for over a month, and I lost so much weight. And I had boobs at this time. Like I said, I developed at 18. You know, I was starting to feel really confident in myself, and I lost so much weight, completely unintentionally, but I guess the trauma from everything that I went through and the time spent in the hospital and the surgeries, it just took a toll on my body, and I was a complete bone rack. I had people coming up to me that I hadn't seen, asking me if I was okay, asking me if I was eating, asking me, you know, what's wrong? Like, do you need help? Like, you've lost a lot of weight. And people always talk about fat shaming. And this is by no means saying that fat shaming isn't a thing, and that it doesn't hurt, because it's a very prominent thing, and it's very, very hurtful. But skinny shaming can hurt just as bad, because this is somebody who has struggled her whole life to kind of learn to love her body, and right when she feels like she loves it, right when, you know, I'm developing and I feel like a woman and I'm confident and I'm 18 years old, my whole world just crashes, health-wise, you know, professionally and physically, and I just turned to complete skin and bones. And I felt so uncomfortable in my skin. I felt like I couldn't wear crop tops because people were commenting on my hip bones. I felt like I didn't want to post on social media because I had old friends messaging me concerned, asking me, you know, what was happening with me. And it put me into a deep cycle of depression. And that lasted about a year. And then last year, I really decided to just love myself. And it's not an easy thing. I mean, I would just wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, like, even if I want to be better, like, this is what I have to work with. This is who I am. And I just made the decision to just start to love myself. And I started to fuel my body more and put more into my body. And I realized that I had lost a lot of weight and gaining weight was difficult for me, but I could learn to eat the right amounts that I would gain weight. And I think any point in time that you're struggling with any sort of body image, you know, it's hard to not sink into this deep hole of depression. And it's hard to not want to change. And I've always thought that all shapes and sizes and different ethnicities are beautiful. And I never took the time to appreciate my shape and my size and everything about me that makes me me. And it took me a long time. And now I'm finally at a point where I feel healthy within myself. And there are days where obviously I get dressed and I look in the mirror and I feel like I don't look good. Or, you know, I look at these Instagram models and I think like, oh my goodness, like I wish I looked like that. I wish I had that body. And it's a very real thing and it's a very active thing in this day and age. But I think that I just have to learn that this is the way that I was made and this is the person that I am. And really to want to be somebody else really truly is a waste of the person that you are. Because regardless of if I want to change the way I look, I will always be Hailey. And I know that when you're 15 and you're 16 and people are talking about your body that you aren't even fully comfortable in yet, it is pretty fucking hurtful. And I'm not going to take that away from anybody. Like, I never want to sit there and be like, well, you should love yourself. Well, you should wake up and you shouldn't feel depressed and you shouldn't deal with social anxiety and you should just love yourself. Because mental illness, body image, body dysmorphia are very, very real things. And you can't just tell somebody, trust me, to love themselves. One of the hardest things that people used to say to me was like, well, it's selfish for you to feel this way because you are so pretty and you have everyone's dream body, and it's really disgusting and selfish that you are talking about body image dysmorphia and that you are talking about not loving yourself. And I would think to myself, just because just because you look at me and you see something different doesn't mean that I don't look in the mirror and see something totally different. Like, I will never be able to accept a compliment and you will never be able to accept a compliment until you truly believe that compliment. Anyways, guys, I know I'm rambling on, but basically what I want to get to is that you watching this, you are beautiful. And exactly as you are right now in this moment is enough. And I know that it's really hard to hear somebody talking about the fact that you are beautiful and to hear somebody telling you like you are enough, all shapes, all sizes, every curve on your body, every stretch mark that you have, every flaw that you may see. It makes you you. Like, it really, really does. And I want you to know that you don't need to change anything, and that through the highs and the lows and the changes that you and your body and your mentality will go through, you are so damn beautiful and everything about you is enough. And sometimes you just need to hear that from somebody who isn't just saying it because they're biased and isn't just saying it because they love you and is just saying it because it's the truth. Like, my mom is my best friend, and she used to always tell me how beautiful I was and that I was perfect and that, you know, she always dreamed of having a child like me. And you would think to yourself, but you're my mom. Like, man, I don't have kids, but I think my dog is the cutest dog in the whole world. And some people look at him and they're like, I mean, he's cute, but he's not the cutest in the whole world. And I imagine that's kind of like what parenting's like. Like, yeah, your kid's cute, but are they the cutest in the world? So I used to always tell my mom that. But I'm telling you, as your friend, through the computer screen or the mobile phone or whatever the heck you're watching me on, you're enough. You are beautiful. And we've all been there, and we've all struggled. And confidence isn't something that you can always have. I'll be honest with you, because there are going to be days where your confidence might drop, and you might have one of those days. But you have to recognize that it's not you that's the problem. It's where your head's at. And you have to pull yourself out of that. You have to dust yourself off. You have to look in the mirror and tell yourself how perfect you are, and how every single flaw that you may ever have is you. Like, it's you. I could sit here, I'll probably do it while I'm editing, and pick apart little things about me that bother me, or little things about me that I don't like. And I could sit there and get depressed over it. Or I could look at these things and be like, that makes you you. That makes you special. And the only thing in this life that is fair is that it's unfair to all of us. And even the people that you look at, your idols or whoever you look at, that you feel is perfect, they're probably struggling their own battles too. And they're fighting their own demons. And just understand that people are going through things that you might not understand. And if you're on the other side of things, you know, don't comment on people's bodies. Really, you shouldn't, unless it's to boost them up. Like, sometimes people would say to me, like, you've lost so much weight, and they would think that it was a positive thing, and that was my battle at the time, was that I was losing weight. And it was hard to not be like, can you just not comment on it? Like, can we just talk about something else, because I'm struggling with this. So I could go on about this forever, guys. I feel like I've already rambled way too much, and that I didn't even really stay to the particular point that I was trying to make. But all I'm trying to say is, you are beautiful, and I love you. And if you are struggling with an eating disorder or body dysmorphia or self-confidence and self-esteem, I am here, and I will always be here for you. And I'm just a few connections away. You can reach me on all of these social platforms. I will be here always to support you. And you're going to get through this. You are, because one day you're going to wake up and the things that seemed so serious are going to seem like a distant memory and a struggle that you overcame. Believe me. Okay guys, that is all that I'm going to touch on for this today. I could make a whole series on, you know, learning to love yourself and finding yourself and overcoming bullying and struggles and, you know, mental disorders. It's hard. Mental illness and body perception and self-perception are very real things. And we all go through it. So that's it, guys. Remember, do all things with kindness. And until next time, love you.